The latest VR Game Showcase covered 22 different games. I'm going to recap the whole show and rank every announcement from the ones I could not care less about to the games I'm absolutely excited and hyped up to play. Let's do it. At number 22 is new gameplay from Hitman World of Assassination for PSVR 2. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. IO Interactive has had two swings at the plate with Hitman in VR, and they've both been pretty bad. The PC VR version from years ago and the Quest version that came out last year. There's nothing in this, even though they're saying all the right things. Oh, it's built for VR. You're going to get genuine VR interactions. Nothing here is going to convince me that this game is actually going to be any good until it comes out later on this month. I hope it's good. I hope they finally get it right, but they already screwed up twice, so can't really get up for this one. At number 21 is the new game Penguin Festival from Cozy Cube Games. Now there is a pedigree here. The developer is from Alchemy Labs. They're the makers of Job Simulator, Vacation Simulator, and Cosmonia is High. But Cozy Games tend to be a hard sell for a trailer because there's only so much you can show, and this trailer just didn't really excite me. At number 20 is a new gameplay trailer for Gorn 2. This one's really just a matter of bad timing. Last week there were a whole bunch of content creators who put out videos showing some actual gameplay footage from the game, so this looks to be more of the same. Doesn't mean I'm not excited to play it when it finally releases, I actually am, but there was nothing new here. Gorn 2 is coming to MetaQuest, PSVR 2, and PC VR later on this year. At number 19, Shadowgate VR The Mines of Mithrock is coming to PlayStation VR 2. When I first saw this, I was hoping that this was the announcement of the sequel because developer Zojoi said on social media something like 2 years ago that they are working on the sequel to this game. But no, it's not. It's just the original game coming to PSVR 2. I've already played this game on MetaQuest and on PC VR, and the trailer didn't really give any indication that this port for PlayStation VR 2 is going to take advantage of like the headset haptics or any creative use of eye tracking, the special features of the headset. It looks to be the exact same game ported over. Now I do love dungeon crawlers and I really enjoyed this game when I did play it, and I'm happy that it's going to go to a new platform to find a new audience, but frankly I'm just waiting for the sequel. At number 18, Prison Boss Prohibition, the sequel to the original Prison Boss game from way back in 2017, is going to have mixed reality support on MetaQuest. The game will come out on MetaQuest, PlayStation VR 2, and PC VR. We still don't know the announced date for it, and this is one of those instances where I don't really know how mixed reality is going to add anything more to the gameplay. So while I am excited to play the game, mixed reality for me really isn't a selling point for this. At number 17, we got new gameplay footage for the new co-op roguelite shooter Zyx. You lost me at roguelite. There's just a lot of roguelites in VR right now. I've played a ton of them already, and this one, I guess it'll be fun because you can play it with your friends, and playing with friends makes any game a lot more fun than it is, but it's another roguelite in VR. I just can't get excited for it. At number 16 is a new trailer for Flat to VR's second offering, RoboQuest. This is a port of the original Flat game. Again, it's a roguelike coming to VR, so my level of hype is just kind of muted because I'm just kind of bored playing these games. But we'll give points to whoever made this trailer, which is why I'm ranking it above Zyx because the trailer itself just made the game look like a whole lot of fun. RoboQuest will be available on PC VR, PlayStation VR 2, and MetaQuest later this fall. At number 15, the first-person shooter Vendetta Forever that first launched on Quest and PlayStation VR 2 last year is now coming to PC VR. I would have ranked this one lower because I have already played the game, but they did also announce that there will be a free update containing new levels, and I'm always going to be down to play some new content. You can play Vendetta Forever on PlayStation VR 2 and MetaQuest right now, and the PC VR version is due out. Right now it says on May 8th. At number 14 was a new announcement from Flat to VR Studios, and that is that they are porting Postal 2 into virtual reality. I've never played a Postal game before. I actually had to look up some information about it before I sat down to record this video. It seems to be a well-regarded game, but it is 20 years old, and this game isn't coming until 2026, so ranked it a little bit lower because it's just an IP that I'm not familiar with. But if you're familiar with Postal, let me know down in the comments if you're excited to play this one. And again, points to whoever made this trailer. This was super creative. I laughed my head off the whole time watching it. At number 13 is your Shadow Drop. This is a game called Deep Cuts. It's a physics-driven VR action game dropping on MetaQuest. You can play it on Quest right now. It didn't indicate that the PC VR version is going to shadow drop, and I am recording this before the VR game showcase actually happens, so I don't know if the Steam version is available now, but you can play it on Quest. I will be hopping into this one right after I finish recording this video, so expect me to cover this video on the channel here pretty soon. Number 12 is a new update for Breachers that you can play right now as you're listening to this video. If you're not familiar with Breachers, it is a 5v5 tactical first-person shooter in the vein of something like Rainbow Six Siege. Developer Triangle Factory has been teasing some new updates and some new gadgets that they were adding to the game. Here we got the announcement of the new clone projector, where you can set up a little gadget on the wall or on the floor, and it'll project a clone of yourself to distract your enemies while you can get the drop on them. I think it's a pretty neat mechanic. The update is free and you can play it right now. Features is available on PlayStation VR 2, PC VR, and Meta Quest. At number 11, look, I know I said all that stuff earlier about roguelikes not being my favorite genre of games to play. Underdogs is an exception to this, and Underdogs is coming to PlayStation VR 2. This game came out on Quest and PC VR last year and completely surprised me with how fun it is. In this game, you control a mech using arm-based movement, which isn't my favorite movement system. It's very akin to something like Gorilla Tag, but the presentation here is so good. The graphics are great. The music is fantastic. All the voice acting is really excellent. So I'm happy to see the PlayStation VR 2 crowd get a port of an excellent game, and I really hope they enjoy it. PSVR 2 version will launch on March 25th on digital, and there will be a physical copy from Perp Games coming on April 4th. Now we're into the top 10 with ExoShock. Reading straight from the press release, ExoShock is the first PvE 1-4 player co-op shooter in VR that finally gives core gamers a reason to strap in. Inspired by Helldivers 2, Warhammer 40k, Halo, and Fear, it merges tactical depth, relentless action, and high replayability into an ever-evolving battlefield. In layman's terms, you and your friends team up against a bunch of AI squads and have to tactically take them down. My only concern about this one is that you're only playing against AI, and if the AI isn't good, this game can end up being pretty easy, but we'll see what happens when the game goes into early access later on this year. It will be available on Quest and on PC VR. There is no mention of PlayStation VR 2. At number 9 was a deeper look into Stay Home Forever. This is a very cozy virtual pet experience from a developer called Wind Up Games. It's coming exclusively to Meta Quest in April. There was a tech demo a while back on Quest called BOGO, where you had a little virtual pet that you could like scratch their belly, cook them food, and like throw a stick and let them play fetch. Unfortunately, that game has been delisted from the Quest store. You can no longer play it. This looks to be an expanded version of that original game, even though it's not from the same developer. You can go exploring with your pet in virtual reality environments, or bring the pet into your room in mixed reality. If you're not an action junkie and you're into more like chill experiences, you've pretty much been underserved in VR. There's not a lot of games like this, so I'm hoping this game is good and I'm excited to check it out. At number 8, Slender: The Arrival is coming to virtual reality. We did know this game was coming. We just got some new gameplay footage from it. It's coming to Meta Quest, PlayStation VR 2, and PC VR sometime this spring. I am very much looking forward to watching other people play this game in virtual reality live streams. I will probably not go anywhere near this because I'm a big fraidy cat, but love to see new Flat games coming to VR. I think horror in VR is just absolutely on another level. I'm excited to see, again, other people play this. At number 7 is another horror game, Out of Sight, which is an upcoming horror game. We actually haven't seen it come out on flat screen yet. It has now been confirmed that it is getting a VR port from Flat to VR Studios. I'm ranking this one above Slender because it is a new game and people haven't played it before, but again, I'm a big fraidy cat, so I'm looking forward to seeing other people play this. And number 6 is Memoriam. This is a sci-fi survival horror game coming to Quest later on this fall. It's saying this September. And there was a game last year called By Grid Alone that said it was taking inspiration from games like Dead Space, but you played it, it was basically just a bullet hell. Now this game looks much closer to like the Dead Space experience coming to virtual reality. I do love story-based shooters, so even though this game is likely to scare the absolute crap out of me, I'm gonna play it because story-based shooter and because it's sci-fi. Looking forward to playing it later on this fall. Number 5 is Surviving Mars Pioneer. This is an adaptation, not a port, of the original Surviving Mars strategy games, and this one's coming from Bulwark Games, the makers of the criminally underrated Genotype, a game I really enjoyed playing a couple of years ago. Surviving Mars is a city builder, a genre that doesn't get a whole lot of love in VR, and in it you're overseeing the building of a colony on Mars. Again, sci-fi, you got me. Genres we don't see a whole lot of in VR, you got me. Can't wait to play this. And number 4 is Titan Isles. This is the first new game from Cytech Games, the makers of Windlands and Windlands 2, in over 7 years. This game looks like it's taking the original engine from Windlands, where you were just swinging around from tree to tree with your friends, and adding like an action element to it. I like the Windlands games for what they were, but honestly I was kind of aching for some new action in there, even though the swinging mechanics were very good. So I was more likely to play something like Resist or like the 2 Swarm games. This game looks to be adding some action into it, so really excited to check it out because Cytech is a pretty quality developer in VR. And number 3 is Reeve from developer Alta, the makers of A Township Tale. This is a co-op VR dungeon crawler. You had me a dungeon crawler, and it has some extraction shooter elements to it. In this game, you or your friends are going to go into a dungeon, loot as much as you possibly can, and then extract. I'm a big fan of Dungeons of Eternity. I love my dungeon crawlers, and one of the first games I played in VR was A Township Tale. So I have a lot of faith in this developer to deliver, and again, dungeon crawlers are absolutely my jam. Reeve will be coming to MetaQuest and PC VR, no announcement on PSVR 2, and if you join their Discord, you will have an option to play this early. I have already done that. I cannot wait to jump into it. At number 2 is a new gameplay trailer for Ghost Town. I'm ranking this one at number 2 because Fireproof Games made the Room series. Those are excellent games. The Room VR is an excellent, albeit a little bit outdated in terms of its movement, but it's a great VR game that everyone should play. This is their first new IP in over a decade. It is coming to Quest first, and there will be a PC VR and a PSVR 2 version coming down the line. We should see this in early summer. Again, I'm a big fan of the Room VR, and when the developer puts out a quality game, that's only going to make me more excited for their next game. And at number 1, earlier we talked about Triangle Factory's game Breachers and demanding a new gadget. We also got the announcement of their new game, Forefront. Forefront is a new shooter with 32-player lobbies, and you're going to be fighting on land, on sea, in the air. Now, I don't really like drawing parallels between VR games and big AAA flat franchises, but when I saw this trailer, this screamed Battlefield to me. And while yes, there are a ton of shooters in VR, Triangle Factory is nothing but high quality games. Hyperdash is excellent, it's free to play on Quest right now. Breachers is really good, and with this game Forefront, it looks like they're bringing something new to VR because you're going to be battling in all kinds of different elements. Forefront is coming later on this year to MetaQuest, PC VR, and to Pico. So that's how I rated this new VR game showcase. Let me know down in the comments which games you're most excited for. Also, remember to like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more VR content. Thanks, and I'll catch you on the next one.